Yeah, yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the AJC, your channel locked in on everything Juve, all right? And wow, every time we get ready for these live shows, you get that nugget that just fires everybody up. And we got one late last night from Di Marzio. And yeah, total overhaul. Is it possible in the midfield? That's going to be one of the main topics. Obviously, we have a ton to tackle throughout the week. And of course, we're going to touch on the Euros as well. But you guys know what I'm repping today, okay? Nobody messes with Roberto Baggio, and unfortunately, we got that news yesterday, and that's just added to how rough that Spain-Italy match was for Azzurri fans. Then we got to hear that Bobby gets messed with, so don't like it. Thoughts with him. Luckily, he's getting treated. He'll be okay, and none of his family members were injured or anything. So that's the main thing. But those guys, yeah, I could think of the Pantera song, 5 minutes alone. Give me 5 minutes alone with each one of these pricks, okay? But happy to see you guys in the live. Obviously, I got Trim. I got Omer. Omer's always got the guns out, all right, ready to rock. And Trim still rocking the Chiesa kid in the back. I see Sev popping in here, asking if Chiesa is still on Juventus. Don't worry, we got a lot to talk about when it comes to Fede too there, okay? But we're going to have a lot of fun here. And we're going to kick things off with what seemingly is done now, and that is Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz coming to Juve and potentially Alicia Lehmann as well, which would be massive for the women. But this deal overall, we still have to wait for the actual final numbers because originally it was going to be a process of around 65 million that Villa was looking for Luiz. However, we now start to hear that it was, 50 to 55. Still what we should be seeing between Illing and even Barnechea, who are now going over to Villa, is somewhere around 22 million for the two of them. A lot of that is capital. So it's not the original capital we were getting with the original numbers, but that's why you got to always wait till these things are done to see where the numbers actually stand. Still, good capital on those two guys, and you're bringing in Luiz, waiting for the full contract details and everything, but we had to get this deal done. Like, if this guy's available to you right now, and this is what it's going to take, whether it was McKennie, whether it was Barnechea, nothing was changing my mind. See the deal through. It's time to get your guys' thoughts and weighing in on this particular move. Let's kick things off with Omer here.
Yeah, so in general, I think it's a great move for Juve, both Douglas and Alicia, but we'll probably get to it later. I mean, that's the kind of top signings we can expect, because we can't sign like the Bellinghams of the world. So that's like maybe a tier below, not someone who would be considered world class and walks into every big team. But that's our situation, financially, what we can offer to other players coming in and looking at Juve. I think that's a solid deal for a very good player who can still improve, can offer something different that we don't have right now. And so, yeah, I'm all for it. And yeah, losing Barnechea, losing who was it? Who's the other guy? Sorry,
Illing Jr. and Barnechea.
Illing Jr. Yeah, I would have liked to see them stay, but I can't say I think it's a huge loss because we haven't seen them actually really in a Juve shirt in a full season, taking the role of the leaders, first team material. They're still youngsters, and you have to get rid of some of them. And if that gets us over the line, fine, great.
I feel like we're gonna have to keep one out of like Barnechea, Miretti, or Caviglia. I still think we're gonna end up having to keep one of those players. I would have liked to see it be Barnechea, and I was curious what Motta would have said seeing him at the camp. However, I'm never stopping this deal from going down for Barnechea. That's just how I felt the second his name. It kind of sucked because I wanted to see what Motta thought of him and whatnot, because I have my own personal things with Barnechea, but I'm not shutting this move down for Barnechea. Trim, your thoughts on this Luiz deal?
Yeah, it's a good deal because of the circumstances. Obviously, Villa needing to comply with FFP. This deal kind of just came out of nowhere for us, right? Obviously, what I would say is out of the options that were available, we probably, fans and management, would have liked to try to go for other targets first. But because this became available, it kind of just fell into our lap and the options were there. You had a player in Illing Jr. who wants to go back to the Premier League and back to his home country. Obviously, I think I can speak for all of us. We would like to keep him. We would have liked to keep him around to see what his potential he can grow into. But again, it's two young players that are not really established. Yes, their potential and their future looks bright, but to get a guy who's already proven, played big games in the Premier League, mid-table team, you could say, but ended up cracking their top four and is making it to the Champions League this year. Yeah, it's a solid deal for sure. What I would say, though, is I just wanted to touch on, do we have a rough idea in terms of that resale percentage? Because it was kind of all over the place. I really, everybody was kind of jumping on it right away because the numbers seemed higher, but now it's
10% on
Yeah.
both players. Yeah, the 60 to 70, I was like, guys,
that was wild.
No,
Yeah,
there's no way anyone would sign that. No.
What
way.
did I
no
tell
way.
you? Never trust Roberto Luongo when he comes in here with his football rumors and stuff. So it's actually Daniele Longo, but I always make fun of it and call him Roberto Luongo because it may as well be Roberto Luongo when you hear Daniele Longo come up with something, okay? Because 60 to 70%, man, they would have had to throw Giuntoli in jail if it was 60 to 70% because that's straight up robbery to get that kind of term in there. So it's 10% on both, which is still solid. It's fine.
Yep.
Anytime you can even get a resale in general is nice. You look at one of the guys we're looking at, which is Calafiori, with a 50% sell-on is insane. Like, that's crazy. So that's obviously one of the main things that's going to hold up the Calafiori thing. We'll talk about him moving on. But yes, so we're all pumped. We're all on the same page for Douglas Luiz. For me, I think it's a clear boost to the midfield, bringing in Luiz. A lot of people didn't understand the thing that there is a defensive player there as well. Like if you're talking about well-rounded midfielders, he's one of them. He's got offensive vision. He can make the contributions, showing in his numbers, not just this past season, the year previous as well, getting around those double-digit marks for contributions. And when you're looking at that, and the fact that he could fill in and play a defensive role in the midfield as well, he's like another koopmeiners for me. And I have no doubt he's going to do well in Serie A. So
And that's
I'm
what
very
we're
confident.
missing, right? That's what we were crying out for. We didn't have any problem with the defensive phase of our midfield. Yeah, maybe they were sitting too deep, but Rabiot and Locatelli, they were great defensively. Offensively is where we're lacking massively. And anything, and if you can offer that, exactly what we need.
Yeah, there you go. And Trim stealing
sorry,
Storm the
Pino.
Bards already. Oh, Pino, I got you covered, man. Reach out to me. Yeah, we got a ton of new designs there. The Gobo DNA NWO kind of throwbacks there. People loving those. Hey, reach out to me. I've got a discount code for you, okay? And I'll hook you up. I think I have a few of them here for anybody that's interested, so reach out. Otherwise, there's always promos too, all right? So, yeah, and thank you again for everybody supporting that way. Now, we get to the young guys because Illing, Barnechea in there, and we have the rumors around Sule and Huijsen to be sold as well or incorporated in deals. So everybody is now kind of looking at are we completely sacrificing the future? Is that how you guys would feel? Is that Juve's ready to sacrifice future in making moves like koopmeiners, having to throw in Huijsen there, Sule potentially being sold regardless of what happens with Fede Chiesa, which we will get into? I'm not really there, and I'm not getting this fear of sacrificing the future. Where are you guys on that? We're going to start with Trim on this one.
Yeah, I would say it feels as if they're sacrificing the future. Like I can see that from different fans' perspective, but from my own perspective, I really feel that they obviously have a good sense and understanding of what is up and coming and in the next gen program. So I feel like because of the last few seasons that we've had, we want to kind of ramp things up a bit, become more competitive, possibly compete for Scudetto and go on a run, hopefully in Champions League, or do as best as we can. I feel like now is the time. It's like kind of saying, strike while the iron's hot. Obviously, if we could keep all these young guys and kind of integrate them while still getting solid veteran players from other teams and bringing them into our system, they would do that. But I really feel like Juntli and company have a good sense of what is in next gen. So they feel like, now is the time. You've got a couple of these guys who are playing in Italy and Europe, and Huijsen and Sule that are out there and getting the eye of a lot of the bigger clubs who are willing to splash some cash. And they figure, hey, if we can turn this around and turn it around and get some more established players like a koopmeiners, Douglas Luiz, you go and you do it. So I have full faith in management and Juntli and what they see in our next gen program. And, it sucks. Like I said, it sucks to lose some of these guys. You want to integrate them, but at the end of the day, you got to have faith in management.
Yeah. Omer, your thoughts? Are we sacrificing the future?
No. No, I mean, let's be realistic. How many did we expect to keep? And how long we have kept them until we had to sell them, and the prices might have dropped, might have risen. I mean, we could have said the same about Keane a few years ago, and look how that turned out. Now look across Europe, how many teams, like, I don't know, 1 in 10, 1 in 15 players actually stays? How many youngsters are in Man City right now who came from the academy? And Chelsea, I don't know, Man United, even Real Madrid. I mean, it's not a whole lot. Everyone always hoping for that Barcelona-esque type of youngsters where you can integrate them all together and make a super team. We don't have that luxury. We don't have the time to do that. We knew a lot of those guys were going to be sold eventually. And if we can use them to bring in better players like Douglas Luiz right now, which we need right now for the upcoming season, then yeah, it's totally logical. And I guess Juve's management assessed that Yildiz is the one we should keep, and maybe some other guys. We have other guys coming up, Luis Hassa and some of the younger guys. We're signing Azzurri. I mean, we do have youngsters that are coming in, but to expect of you to keep them all and give them all an adequate playing time, that was never going to happen anyway.
Yeah. So for me, it's the one thing that's kind of getting missed in all of this by the majority out there, and that's just the fact that it's not sacrificing the future. That's one way to look at it because of who is involved, because of the fact that it's Sule, it's Huijsen, it's Barnechea, it's Illing, but really it's the situations around these guys. Illing Jr. was not renewing with Juventus. So that's boom. That's a goodbye right there. Dean Huijsen carries a lot of doubts that he's using Juve as some type of step. You know what I mean? And for me, I'm getting vibes he's not going to be anybody long-term to hang on to. You know who could be? Calafiori. For sure. This guy's chomping at the bit to come to Juve. Has agreement with us. That's your shot at a long-term instead of Huijsen. So it's the situations. And it's very easy to look at who's involved. Just look at the age and say, yeah, we're sacrificing our future. Well, no. Juve Next Gen is set up. And they are constantly adding to the total, to the group there. I'm not worried about sacrificing the future. And I think just around these guys, you look at the circumstances. And with Sule, unfortunately, I think there was always some seed of doubt at Juve, even for him trying to get minutes while he was with us and just their overall view of him. I think it was always looking to head out. When they set him out on a loan, maybe there was still a little bit of a decision in bringing him in or not, but if you can bring that kind of money in, when you also have to look at that situation, the financial situation that we're currently in, it makes sense. So I think it's more circumstances than it is Juve just getting rid of the future. And to be honest, I have no problems with these guys moving on and us seeing big money on sales or using Huijsen to bring in a koopmeiners or even a Calafiori. Because here's another thing where I can't get past this in my head. We need to start winning domestically again. And you know what? We need guys ready now, not 4 years down the road, 3 years down the road. And that's if they reach that potential. And for me, this all makes sense. It sounds great to me right now, all the rumors. Calafiori is ahead of Huijsen and then some already as it stands. And he's 22 on his own. I have no problems with moving these four, and we are not sacrificing the future, in my personal opinion.
And also look at the names that disappeared when those names started rising. Like, when was the last time you heard about a Bremer transfer rumor since the Manchester United leaks? So yeah, some guys, this will help us keep some of the guys that we need right now, the guys that are ready right now, that are proven in the team, instead of hanging on to like he might become this and that player in 3-4 years. Yeah, we'll have 20 other names by then to look at coming through the academy and in Italy. And I mean, we can't be Atalanta. We can't go on for like not winning anything and keep producing youngsters.
Yeah.
Or is that what we want to be? And fine, then say that you want to be Atalanta, and we'll sell, just sell the youngsters and bring in new youngsters every year.
Yeah. And I feel the same way. As I just stated, Alex P here. Huijsen sounds exactly like De Ligt. He's going to burn us. Better use him in a deal. Trim, did you get those same vibes from Huijsen?
100%. And that's why, like I was mentioning, like, it would be nice to keep all these guys, but him in particular, like, it's almost like from the get-go when he came and they brought him from, I think they got him from Girona, if I'm not mistaken, or wherever it was in La Liga. He even mentioned, like, it's as if it's a stepping stone. Like, he wants to eventually get up there and get some starting minutes, play for a big club in Italy, but then he wants to use that as a springboard. So, I mean, they'd be foolish not to be looking into using him, especially when you've got teams like Dortmund, I think Newcastle. You've got some other teams that are interested in him and that are willing to pay 30 to 40 million euros. Like, you jump on that all day. And like Omer touched on, that means you get to keep guys like Bremer. You potentially get to keep a Vlahovic if they don't decide to look into moving him based on his salary. Like, you hit the nail on the head. You got to start winning domestically, and we need those proven guys. So if you're telling me we can get a koopmeiners, a Luiz, a possible Kephren Thuram, and improve the back line and maybe get Calafiori, then if these young guys have to go, I'm all for it.
And it's nothing against him. I mean, if you're a youngster like Huijsen and Juve comes calling, you go there, but it doesn't have to be your dream to play your entire career at Juve. So it's fine to say that's a springboard to where I want to be. And
it's just
in the rest of my career.
The signs are there, though. I mean, like, he did it with the Frosinone deal, backing out after it was all said and done to then make his shift to Roma or whatever. And then it's like he did it with the national sides as well, in terms of his decision and starting off one way, totally flip. Like, this guy, to me, I have no trust already in this short period of time. So better move on and move him. Bino coming in with a great point too. 5 competitions, obviously. And it is not the Juventus way to just show up. These young guys are not ready. Bring in solid guys and let's keep her moving. And we are going to get to Kephren Thuram, obviously, but we have to talk about some of the outliers on this move. Weston McKennie. Okay, so I've been very, very vocal on this whole thing after it all went down. I need to make something clear. My frustration, my infuriation, basically, in Weston McKennie, it's not even personal with him. It's the fact that this whole deal got shut down in a move that was better for him. That's the part that pisses me off with Weston. I highly doubt he is going to get, not this summer, a deal as good as going to Villa and what they were going to give him financially and everything. And lo and behold, the next offer he gets is from friggin' Cincinnati in the MLS. All right. So it just goes to show you that's the part is like you're doing this out of spite. Okay. And people could say, paint whatever picture they want. Oh, he wants to stay at Juve. He wants to do this. He was told he was out of the project last summer. He's been put back on the market this summer. It doesn't matter if he wants to stay. They're literally telling him, I'm sorry, but you're just not in our plans. And he turned down the best offer he was going to see. It's a brutal move. That's what's infuriating for him. It's not like we're trying to send him to frickin' Spezia, okay, and he's going to get paid less than what he's making now. It's like, you're going to a Champions League side. You're going to England. You're going to make double what you're making now. That's the part that's infuriating for me. That's the part that I think it's a bad business move for Weston. But why? My feeling is the Leeds move went so bad, I think he's actually shying away from the Premier League. Agree, disagree? Omer, first you up. Your views on the Weston McKennie side of this move.
Well, I wish the less handsome Tony was here because he's been very vocal with us in the group about keeping McKennie, and not keeping him, but he understands his point of view. I actually don't. I mean, what I get from it is McKennie is not as good as he thinks he is. Because if you get an offer from Aston Villa, if you're expecting, I mean, okay, if it was Real Madrid on the other side with even a lower offer, he wouldn't have thought twice. He would have already been on that plane. So he doesn't have a problem, going to a bigger team. He thinks he's better than the Aston Villa level. Now, Aston Villa is a solid option for McKennie. Solid. That's a team that's in Europe every year. They're playing in the richest league in the world. And they offered you a lot of money. You get a new chance there. Juventus already told you you're not in the project, and they didn't only tell you, they showed you by loaning you out, putting you twice on the market. And I mean, get the hint. They don't want you. And if you want to stay at a club that doesn't want you, and you would rather sit on the bench and make money than actually play football and go out there and prove to Juve that they made the mistake and have the last laugh, then that's a loser mentality for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't need that. So eventually he will get shipped. I don't believe he'll get a better offer than what Villa offered him. And if you're willing to let all that go for like a 2 million commission. Now, in McKennie's defense, I don't think that that's coming from him. Okay, that sounds like a lawyer agent kind of tip. Yeah, you're better than that. You're worth more. Ask for more. I don't think McKennie's sitting at home. Yeah, I deserve 2 million more. So I'm not totally blaming him. It's not only a McKennie problem. It happens all over. So I don't know. Get the hint. You're not wanted. Why would you want to be where you're not wanted?
It's bizarre. And so Dal coming in here saying that Weston was going to get 5 mil before tax and was going to come out with less he is on now. Premier League has about 60% tax. That is actually not true. He would have come out a little bit ahead. He would have come out ahead, quite a bit ahead. So he's making I think he nets with us 2.5 is what he's getting net currently with us. If they were going to see him, okay, he was set to make 4 million net, according to the agreements. 4 million net. That's what the rumors were anyways, but the numbers that were coming out were actually net. So, and 5 million there, I think if you look at Pau Torres, I think he's at 5.3 something, 5.4 something gross euros. He actually comes out with around 3. So it's not actually Like that taxing, I don't think is actually fully accurate because he's making more on close to the same overall. But anyways, it was the best move since McKennie has been on the block, dating back to the years prior, that he's seen. It's ridiculous. Trim, this McKennie thing, like bad business move. Omer's kind of laid it all out there. I've laid it all out there.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I just wanted to add is imagine being a team on the outside who maybe had any kind of potential interest in him and is seeing this all unfold. I mean, I don't know, just for me, if I was in management of a team and I said, you know what, I kind of like this guy, I'd be interested to see if we can get him. And just seeing this all unfold now, it's almost like it kind of says to you, like, do we really want to bring in a guy like this now, right? Like, I just don't get it at all. Like, none of it makes sense. He had potentially the rest of or the better part of his career set up for him to go there. Like Omar touched on, great club. They're always competing to play for a good coach like Unai Emery. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. And him sticking around and trying to, plant his stake in the ground saying, I'm not leaving. I want to be here when you've been told that you're not in the project multiple years now. Like, you got through this year with Max. Okay, great. You played well, but now you earn the right to go and move on and get a better deal somewhere else. And then you basically sabotage the whole deal. Like, it doesn't make sense. And for what now to end up potentially going to MLS, which if you ask him, I bet you any money, he would say he's better than MLS quality. And so if you are, then why would you shoot down Aston Villa? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. And he's saying no one makes 5 net at Villa. Lenglet, Kamara, Telemans all over 5 million net. Pau Torres, who was at the same money as McKennie, 3.3 million net. Again, McKennie was set to make 4 million net, which is 1.5 more net than he makes at Juve. That could have incorporated bonuses and everything, but the fact of the matter remains, it was a better deal for him financially. That's the frustrating part. So not really a personal thing. I totally understand as a player going after the most you can, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's getting a better deal. It is what it is. McKennie, he's in the same boat now. He's in the same boat because guess what? He is not in the picture. So now what's he going to do? Are you going to stick around at Juve? A lot of fans are saying, send him to the next gen. He could sit on the bench there. He can eat cheeseburgers for training, whatever. I don't care because it is frustrating when a player impedes on your club's business, but not just because of that. It's because of the fact that it was a better deal. Nonetheless, we keep moving on. And we keep moving on now with a focus on koopmeiners, but now the latest, Kephren Thuram. Full steam ahead for Kephren Thuram. The rumored number is 18 to 20 million euros. The biggest thing about the drop from Di Marzio was that it doesn't matter what happens with Adrian Rabiot. Guys, Thuram, so Luiz already in. Thuram coming in. We could still make the move for koopmeiners. And people are asking, can we completely overhaul this? Well, yes, because at 18 to 20 million euros, we already kind of have that covered. You've got 17 million capital, 17 to 21 potentially, depending on the final outcome of that Luiz deal, in capital coming in on the books. Every purchase price is amortized over the contract. That's why I say we still have to wait to see everything fully on the Luiz move, okay? But yeah, we're still able to do that, and we could still go because we have those players we talked about early that we could sell. But yes, we have to sell. We still have to sell. But yeah, we could finish up with Luiz, Coop, Thuram. But this Thuram move, go and get it done, I think, and still bring in Coop. Trim, what's there like? You've been on Thuram for a while now.
Yeah, even dating back to last year when his price tag was apparently 60 million euros. So you're telling me it's anywhere from, like, I saw as low as 15, but I doubt that. I think it's more close to the 18 to 20, like you mentioned. But
Yeah.
it's like you don't even think twice. You just say, let's get the paperwork done. I'll sign it, and like let's just bring this guy in. Because again, I've been saying this whole time about, I know some of our followers have been mentioning that it was dependent on Rabiot staying, but I still think that even if Rabiot had a change of heart, decide to stay, which I'm not in for, like I'd rather he just walks away and we bring in Thuram, and then go and get Coop, and you possibly look for a substitute for Coop as well. So you bring in 3 guys if Rabiot leaves, but let's just say Rabiot signs, like you still need another bench player or depth squad to play in like a potential 2-man pivot in a 4-2-3-1, or even a lot of these guys I've noticed can play in 4-3-3 as well. And that's kind of what Motta's looking to do, is he'll change it up between a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-3-3. So I mean, yeah, to me it's a no-brainer. Like again, I know a lot of people like to kind of crap on this guy and say, oh well, what do you fans know if you don't watch Nice play? But I mean, like, I've seen him play enough at other European competitions, and he played at the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. He was more of a bench player, but like he's been around for a bit, and he's a solid player. Yes, he had a bad year at Nice, but I think that team in general didn't play that great this year. So I mean, for me, it'd just be foolish not to look at a guy that was potentially rated at 60 million euros. Now you can bring him down to 20 and just add him even as a depth piece. Like, I mean, he's better than what we have, simply put. Just go and get him and go from there.
Okay, so we got to look at this, because at that price range, that's the big thing. At 40 to 60, yeah, on a season that he came off of, I could see the doubt. And the doubt was there in some. But when it hit 25, we're like, okay, now you're getting into territory that makes really a lot of sense to bring him in, because he is going to be a step up, in my opinion, on Miretti, no doubt. He's going to be a step up on what Caviglia, I think, even could bring us this past season and everything. Not that Caviglia, we didn't see a lot of whatnot, but he's going to be a step up, and he's a different style midfielder. He's a different style. But I think it's a style we need, and his potential is big. But now he's at a price tag that makes a lot of sense. Omer, this Thuram thing, you've got to step in at that price tag.
Oh, you have to. You have to. I personally think he's a great player. I've been, talking about him for like a year and a half. If we go back in our chat, I told Lucci and Luca, look out for that guy. I mean, he's been talked about as being better actually than his brother, who also I think is a great player. But yeah, he's 22. I mean, we're not signing world-class Thuram. We're hoping he will become world-class in 2-3 years. I don't know, maybe. Like all transfers, it's a gamble. With the price tag, it's not an expensive gamble. And with the amount of players we're linked to and the prices, it mainly tells me that from the looks of it now, Chiesa is out. I mean, they are planning to bring those guys because they know about the money coming in. I don't see all those deals becoming a reality, including Di Lorenzo and Calafiori. They all have high prices. But if we do sell Chiesa, which seems likely right now, then yeah, maybe we can afford it. And Thuram is a decent signing, and 18-20 million. Come on, sign that yesterday, no question.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and then you get to this whole thing with, this isn't FIFA. We probably only signed 3 or 4 players total. We have too many sales to make it supposedly no money. Well, there's a potential for more, because it's all circumstantial. Yes, we have to sell, but these guys can also be used in counterparts. And the nice thing is that you have players that actually have interest, that are big money makers for you. Hoyson has a lot of interest.
Value?
That's a big money maker.
What's the value of Sule, Chiesa, and Hoyson on the transfer market? Like, if you sell them,
that's almost 100 mil right there. That's 110 total in sales. And the thing is, with Hoyson and Sule, that's pure profit. That's like pure profit on those 2 players. That's why thinking that all of this is possible, it's actually quite realistic that it could happen, because those guys, Sule has a ton of interest, so does Hoyson. It comes down to the terms, to the prices, and will they accept where these suitors are. That's why we have to wait. But everybody's got to remember, this window hasn't even opened. So
Not
Di Gregorio, Luiz, okay, and you still haven't. Now you're making a move potentially for, there's been important discussions with Thuram. You still haven't sold your big money makers. And there's a ton of interest on those big money makers. So thinking that we come out with only 3 signings, it can't be. It can't be based on who you're trying to see leave the midfield. Miretti going, Caviglia going. Rabiot is not a Juventus player as it stands. Pogba will be saying goodbye. We're not going into a season next year with Locatelli, Fagioli, and Luiz, and that's it. So, come one way or another, yeah, you're going to end up with probably more than 3 signings. You're going to have to. Based on the goodbyes, the departures we've already seen. We're going to need fullback help. And we're going to talk about all these guys, okay? But Rabiot, with Kephren Thuram, it's straightforward. 18 to 20 mil. I want to point something else out with Thuram. And it's something I've been saying for a while now in terms of this whole Rabiot thing, because we're going to talk about Rabiot. But Kephren Thuram, he makes 870,000 gross. 870,000 euros gross right now. If you were to sign him, say the purchase price is 20 million, okay? What do you think we get on a contract term? 4 years? 4 years?
Yeah.
Let's say 4 years
3 to
is
4
fair.
years, yeah.
Yeah, 2029.
870,000 euros gross. What do you want to do? Triple his salary? You could quadruple it. Okay? Say it's 2.4 mil gross for the initial couple of years, whatever. Talk about a renewal to increase it based on performance, set some bonuses, whatever. Even at that, you spread that sale price out to 4-year term, that's 5 million a season he costs you, plus his salary on top of that. You are already significantly less than what you're paying Adrien Rabiot. And I was always saying this entire time, and buying him at 20 million as opposed to the free with Rabiot on the high contract salary, everything, like, I'm not comparing the two players as far as where they are right now in terms of their play. Let's make that clear. But I'm saying the Thuram move doesn't shut you down moving beyond that as well. So it's like you could still bring in a Thuram and we could still go for koopmeiners. Will Rabiot renew? Can we still renew Rabiot and whatnot? Yeah, you could still do that too. But this Thuram move, it's a no-brainer when you look at the numbers behind it. It's a no-brainer. And the potential that Thuram holds could set you up for a long time running. Alfredo Pedula came in with some more rumors saying that he turned down 2 other offers, one being in the Premier League, saying he wants to go to Serie A because he wants to challenge Marcus there. And Juve has been the one interested, holding serious talks. I don't know. For me, it's a no-brainer. Make the push. For Adrien Rabiot, guys, I'm getting sick and tired of this crap every time France plays at the Euros. Okay?
Out the door. Kick him out the door, please.
You're done? You're
yeah.
done?
Like, if we had to choose right now, Rabiot and, let's say, Thuram, or Thuram, Coop, and Luiz, I mean, for me, it's really obvious, especially at the wage he's demanding, because that's, for me, the biggest thing. That's why I think he needs to be pushed out more than anything. Like, we could argue his contributions to the team, how he plays, but when you're trying to walk in there and demand 8-9 million a season, that you've packed your bags for me. Like, that's it. You can go and find it somewhere else. I don't care if Real Madrid is actually interested, and he does go to Real Madrid. You know what I'd say? Good for you. You deserve it. Go play there. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's time to move on.
I look at it for us, and depending how things move forward, I think the 2 France games tell you everything most of us on the panel have been saying for a while. He's not used correctly when he's pressed and advanced. I'm sorry. The last game against France against the Dutch there, he was used more going forward, and you saw the limitations. You saw the limitations and the frustrations coming through. The game prior, he was used as a base midfielder. He pivot up, and it's a different player. It's a player that it makes sense, his role. But yesterday, they only had Kante sitting back, and Rabiot was used to move forward, and that's where you see the limitations. He's a different player. If you're basing him up, no problems. Now, I've always said, there's very few stability guys, because for me, that puts him as a stability player, stability mid. Very few stability midfielders that are worth that money. And usually those guys have way more in their bag of tricks and their tool chest to bring out to warrant that money. The fact that he's between 7.5 to 8 could potentially want more. I'm sorry. No.
I mean, how old is he? 29?
28, 29?
28, 29?
28, 29, yeah.
Is he going to get any better than what he is right now?
No.
Is he
Like
going to
I
get
say,
better? No. He's
Yeah.
peaked.
And
That's
and and like his peak, was it like good for us? Was it exactly what we missed, what we needed? No.
It was a year and a half of like a solid mid. A year and a half.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
While having a midfield that lacked so much in general.
Mm-hmm.
So shining at that Juve midfield,
Yeah. So if he's not going to get any better, definitely not any younger, and he asks for more money, why would we pay him that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Do we expect him to be the leader, the captain, whatever he was for Juve? For me, it wasn't good enough. Yeah, maybe he was the best out of the players we had in midfield in the past, I don't know, year and a half. Out of this is fifth year now, and always with the contract talks every summer, we get back to it.
Yeah.
I mean that's money down the drain for me, that you can, just put it somewhere else, wherever you need. We saw what Rabiot can offer. It's not enough for me.
I completely agree. And I mean, if you're staring down the barrel of a midfield overhaul of like Coop, Thuram, Luiz, I'm sorry, but that's turning like a weakness into a strength in one summer. If Giuntoli pulls that off, like that's massive. Massive for us going forward.
Yeah.
As far as the other moves, what's going to happen? We'll see what happens.
And
We'll
it's
see
not
what
only
happens.
Giuntoli. It's not only Giuntoli, because Giuntoli is talking constantly with Motta. And if Motta approved and he doesn't want Rabiot in his team and he's looking for other profiles, then that's what you go with. It's not Giuntoli building a team on FIFA. It's Motta imagining how his team would look, and maybe Rabiot is not a part of it. That's what I'm getting from it. Because the guys that he didn't want out, he immediately said it. I want Bremer to stay. I want this guy, that guy. So if Rabiot is not a big deal for him, then fine. He doesn't want him.
It's like this, too. Going back to the young guys, where fans are getting fired up about potentially, selling ourselves short on the future, etc. Even with these guys, everybody thinking, well, Giuntoli and Motta, they want him, they don't want him. It's not always a matter of that, too, because of the circumstances around the players. I believe Motta does want Rabiot, but I believe that Giuntoli is like, we're not going higher than this financially, whether you want him or not. Like, Rabiot comes back at 9. Motta's like, yeah, I want him. I don't think Giuntoli's going like, okay, yeah. No, he's going to say no. It's just flat out too much. Like, I'm sorry. We'll go elsewhere. I think Motta's actually going to be all right in terms of dealing with what he's got. And I'm kind of getting that vibe that it's more so the circumstances than it is the wants and the needs and the desires. I think it's a good balance right now because Chiesa falls perfectly in line with that. Like, I think all it came down to was Motta's like, well, if he's there, great. If he isn't, it is what it is and we move. But everybody's making this big thing that Motta does not want Chiesa, and I don't think that's the case. Because we could talk about Chiesa, we have to, we should. It's a big saga going on right now. Again, circumstances. Contracts that were set to expire going into final year. Chiesa, McKennie, Szczesny, Illing Jr., Keane, Danilo, Perin, Pinsolio, Deschilio. These guys are all going into final contract years. These guys, outside of Danilo and Perin, are all linked as leaving. Like, Giuntoli is going to get whatever he can before it hits that point. And Chiesa is on that list. The other thing with Chiesa, I went back, we were talking about a bit in the green room, is sometimes when the money factor doesn't really make sense, there's probably more to it that we don't see as fans because we're not there behind the scenes. But I will tell you all, I went back, I dug up a video of what I was hearing out of Turin randomly, and I always share whatever I get, whatever. But Allegri and Chiesa, I remember, and I found that video, I think it was like November-ish, around there. Juve was frustrated with Max, and they were frustrated with Chiesa. And sorry, it wasn't November, it was like just beyond the winter. I think it was on the backside of it, like in the new year, 24, early 24. Frustrations with those two behind the scenes, and Juve was ready. The big thing I was hearing out to, they were ready to say goodbye to both come season's end. Like, they're saying goodbye to both. And then when Allegri got let go and that whole thing went down, everybody said, well, now Chiesa stays and everything. And they went back, they were commenting on my video there that I made saying, oh yeah, now he's going to stay, this aged well, whatever. Did it? Did it age well? I think it kind of did age well, because I think there's more to it than we are actually seeing. Do you guys feel the same way?
Well, I feel like that about anything. We never know the full picture, what went behind closed doors and what they talked about. How's the relationship with these guys? But I'm kind of getting used to the idea that Chiesa is out.
Yeah.
Seems like it. Things just don't add up. I think there's too much pressure on him right now, and he can't stand it. Something is off with him. Again, I've said it on the last show. I love the guy, and I hope he stays, and he does great things at Juve. But I think he's out. That's the picture I'm getting from everything that's happening right now. Sucks, but yeah, not everyone grows out to be what you want them to be. In fact, most don't.
I have a feeling, a strange feeling, he still stays. I have a feeling he stays, because I have a feeling his representation is going to realize that it's actually, and like, unless Bayern truly does come, like, I don't believe English teams are coming for him. I don't see it.
No.
I actually don't think he would go to Prem. I've always never really believed that. Bayern is a possibility, and I think that he would go there if they came for him. But I'm also doubting that too. I have a feeling his representation is going to give in and realize that it's just not, the grass is not greener. It's not going to be greener on the other side. But then I have this feeling like maybe our offer isn't going to be there for him potentially anymore. Like, it's a weird scenario, because everything I was hearing leading up to this point, Giuntoli wanted clear-cut decisions before the Euros from Rabiot and Chiesa. He did not get those, and I don't think it's coincidence that now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're going with Thuram. And I know that Di Marzio out of nowhere has been strong around Juve the past year after being brutal for us for a while. I know that he's saying it's regardless of Rabiot signing or not, but I'm telling you, I have a feeling that's Giuntoli moving on. And he might be moving on with both of those guys because they didn't give him the answers he wanted in the time he wanted, because he's not wasting any time. And I think we're seeing that. But these are the
And
vibes I
what
get.
were the
That
other options?
I think
Like for
Chiesa is going to
Chiesa?
want to stay, but I
Yeah,
think he's
because
going
the
to move.
other realistic options are Napoli and Roma, two teams that are not in the Champions League next season. Now, with going to play for Conte, you're going to play the same system that hasn't worked out for you playing under Allegri. So I think you can
Yeah.
scrap that. Maybe it will go there, but it's not a step up. If Chiesa wants to step up
No.
in his career, there are no offers right now for a step up from what Juve can offer him.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it's almost
that's
like
the reality. Trim?
it's almost like if he moves, he moves out of spite because he's not getting the deal that he wants out of Juve. And yeah, but just wanted to touch on quickly like what you mentioned. For me, like I want him to stay. I hope he does end up taking just a bridge deal 1 year and then go from there. But yeah, like Omer said, kind of just getting used to the fact that he might not be around. And the reason why I think we're all comfortable with that is because we see that Juntali has other options that will make us stronger and better in the end. So yeah, we're losing a player that we're all attached to and we all like to see play for Juve. But if the team gets better, that's all that matters to me in the end. And number two, Juntali kind of putting his stake in the ground and saying, look, our management constantly was getting pushed around by players, the previous regime, getting taken advantage of, bent over, so to speak, right? So having a guy who's more stern and just saying, look, we have a deadline. We want you to give us an answer by this day. I actually really respect the fact that if that's the case and he's saying, you know what, you have until this day, and if not, we're moving on. I really, really appreciate that, regardless of the player. Again, maybe if it was, I don't know, somebody else that I have more of an attachment to, I might find it hard to kind of feel that way. But no, we gotta stop getting taken advantage of, and Juntali's really come in and built and create this culture and this kind of front already that's we didn't have for a long time. So I'm really enjoying that and appreciating that about his personality and his character.
Yeah, I would strongly agree with that. Mark One coming in. Not a lot of top teams are ready to spend money on Chiesa. I would call his bluff and stick to our main offer. Exactly that. Because overall, I do feel like we should keep Chiesa. Like I do overall feel like this is not the time to move him. But at the same time, I'm with Mark One 100% on this. Stick to your guns because he's got to realize the grass ain't greener on the other side. We have another comment too from Joel saying that I doubt Chiesa will get a Bayern offer if their big deal for Olise actually goes through as well. So
It actually
one of these
seems like
things
it
where
went through.
Yeah,
did
it
it
seems
go
like
through?
it's happening.
It seems, yeah. It came
Also
from
not
Fabrizio
official, but
Romano.
it's yeah.
I
So
think he had the here we go for the transfer,
yeah,
like
Wow,
this
there you
morning
go.
or something.
we'll have to ask Reno if it's official or not. But the thing is that and calcio is Reno Z. He'll totally get that. Everyone in the AJC Army chat will get that one. Oh my God, that was hilarious. Anyways, we'll wait for the official there from our friend, our paisano there. Listen, when it comes to the Chiesa thing, again, circumstances. I don't think he's got the leverage. I've said this the entire time. We'll see what develops. Euro tournament, we're going to get to talking about the Euros and everything. Di Lorenzo, apparently in agreement with Juve to 2028, an option to 2029. He's at 20 to 25 million value. The rumors were that the agreement is at the same money he is at now. That is 5.5 million gross salary, okay? Obviously, the Italy-Spain game went a certain direction, and everybody is just fired up saying flat out no to Di Lorenzo. Omer was a yes. I was a yes. You were a yes, Trip. So
yeah.
have we changed our minds? First up, Trim, Di Lorenzo, this deal, where are you at? Are you at the same, or are you like, okay, no?
Oh, way to put me on the spot. No, I'm kidding. So what I would say is, yeah, like I'm definitely flip-flopping on this a bit. The biggest reason too is because of the contract length. Like I thought it was excessive from the beginning to go to 29, but I understand that for a player of his age, the only way to really entice him is you're going to have to give him more term. But I don't know. It's yes, I would prefer they go in a different direction. So I'm just kind of sitting here stewing, saying, okay, if we actually end up getting him, I just hope that under Motta's system, he doesn't completely transform, because that's not possible at this stage in his career, but he looks more defensively sound. But you see it when you've got a speedy winger on that side, he's gonna get cooked. Like, there's no other way to put it. He will get cooked if he's on that side with a speedy winger. So I don't know. I'm just hoping that they see something in him that will cater, like I said, to Motta's style, and maybe he'll be able to look a lot better in that system. But I don't know. I'm kind of cringing a bit if they end up getting this done, because it seems like it's happening based on all the reports.
Omer, have you flipped?
No, I haven't. Look, what I see from this tournament in general is everyone making so many assumptions based on one game, like the amount of hype I saw for Rabiot, because he was man of the match in that boring ass 0-0 draw against Netherlands. And yeah, look, that's our guy. That's the guy we're trying to say. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, Di Lorenzo had an awful game against Spain. To his credit, everyone did. Everyone was invisible. And yeah, he's coming off a very long season, a horrible season. I have no idea what happened at Napoli and why he wants out so bad. It's not only him, it's also Kvaratskhelia, it's Osimhen. Something happened there that they don't want, and they just don't want to stay. I do have a problem with the terms of the deal, like contract length, maybe salary, but that's just, what we're hearing about right now. It's not 60-70% sell-on clause, but still, you can't fully trust what they're saying right now. But to our current situation, the league we're playing in, the goals we're aiming at next season, I think he is something that we can use. He is someone that can be useful for us. And yeah, he's played against one of the fastest players in the world. He got cooked. A lot of other defenders would have too. I don't know. The entire Italy team looked gassed. They don't have any air to run. So I think it's still a solid signing for Juve right now. Terms of the deal and numbers are what will tip the scale for me.
I'm going to fire up this poll, okay? I want to see just in terms of number. I have a good idea where it's going to sit, okay? But we do it nonetheless. And we'll see where it stands. I can't remember where it was originally, but I'm going to weigh in because I was a yes originally. And now I'm still a yes. And I'll tell you why, for a number of reasons. Number one, if everybody wants to base it off that game, he was on a friggin' island with Williams, who cooked the previous team they played to, as well as Yamal did. He not only cooked Di Lorenzo, he cooked Bastoni. I don't know how many times, okay? Shredded those guys. And Bastoni is a guy that a lot of Juventini were always like, I'd love Bastoni in here. I'd love Bastoni in there. He got cooked by Williams too. Those guys are tough to deal with. That was more, like, let's put it this way. How do you deal with guys like that, okay? How do you deal with guys like that? Usually, it's strength in numbers. Right. When we play those guys, it's double teams. Sometimes it's triple. And we see it with Chiesa all the time when we face teams. And it was one of the major criticisms we had against Chiesa was he gets the double team and he can't realize he needs to dish it off rather than just go at these 2 guys, 3 guys all the time. Williams had an island there and he took full advantage. People would call him for Darmian, like Darmian was going to shut down Williams. He would have got roasted too. That Azzurri game fell, for me, solely the majority on Spalletti. A 2-man pivot was not the call against that Spanish side, okay? A 3-5-2 probably would have went a longer way, absolutely flooding the midfield. Having your wing back with a CB right there, with midfield help, numbers to shut down flanks, okay? To shut down those flanks because Yamal and Williams had way too much space. Spalletti made 0 adjustments at the half. Guess what Spain did? Overloaded flanks. They shredded us. He had no answers. His answer was Cristante. We'll get to the Azzurri, okay? I'm still a yes. At 20 million euros, 25 million euros, who are you getting with the experience and the ability to stay fit like Di Lorenzo has, the balance that he can provide you defensively and offensively? Don't just look at Williams cooking him there, whatever, but he gives you stability. He's always fit, and he gives you everything. 5
And you
million
don't
gross too. What are we talking about? We just paid Sandro 12 gross for like how many years? It would be his final contract probably before wrapping things up. It's not the be all end all. I would like less on the salary, but you're not going to get him to come for less. So it doesn't make sense. But who are you getting at 20 to 25 million? Right now on the fullback list, it's pretty damn skinny. It's pretty damn skinny. So with him and Danilo, Cambiaso could play both sides. Danilo could play both sides in a pinch, but obviously we don't want him on the left. 20 to 25 there is not the end of the world. I'm still a yes. 56% are a no. And I actually thought it would be a lot higher. So it's
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, it's a lot closer than I thought.
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
the 90s.
So I think Omer with the talk on not buying into just these single game hype things, there we are. But in terms of the Euro tournament as a whole, chat, you guys, number one, get the likes up. We're almost at Storm the Barn here and everything. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I don't know what the hell you're waiting for, but how do you guys find the Euro tournament so far? You guys enjoying it and whatnot? I'm enjoying it. I'm watching most of them while I'm at work because of the times, but I think it's been a great tournament. But so far, Turkey, Georgia, game of the round robin so far.
Oh, hands down. Hands
My
down.
God. Go ahead,
That
Omer.
was insane. Yeah, that was the best game of the tournament so far. I think the big teams, putting aside maybe Spain and Germany, are all kind of disappointing. And the big games, I mean, England are awful. France didn't impress. Italy, okay, a win against Albania. That's not saying much. I mean, but I do like the Euros better than I like the World Cup usually, because I think that the difference in quality, the gaps in quality are not as big as they are in the World Cup. So you get better games. And the atmosphere around Europe, I mean, the last Euro was all over Europe, and it was, COVID inspired. So we didn't get all those fan videos in the streets turning the country into like this football stronghold for one whole month. And I absolutely love it. Absolutely love the atmosphere from every groups of fans that are out there in the streets singing, drinking, whatever they do. That's what I was missing in the World Cup and the previous Euros. So I'm absolutely enjoying it. I'm enjoying the smaller teams games more than I enjoy the big team games. But so far, it's been a good tournament. And my team in the picks were Spain, so I'm kind of hopeful. And I think there was one guy who chose me as his representative in the tournament. So yeah, good on you for sticking with me. You're getting the prize, like it seems right now.
Oh, well, hang on a sec.
Oh.
We'll get to that. But Trim, how you liking
Okay.
this Euro so far?
Oh, it's been pretty good for the most part. I would say that, yeah, it's been kind of, I don't know, feels like a sleepy start, but I feel like, especially like Tomar's point about the big clubs, I feel like they're just getting a feel for the games and in general. Like, I mean, or maybe I'm just trying to be optimistic for all those big teams, but at the same time, it'd be nice to see one of them get knocked off early, or just, a crazy upset. We all enjoy that, of course. Hopefully it's not the Azzurri, of course, but we'll find out quickly here on Monday. But yeah, no, I find myself trying to catch as much as I can. And of course, I'm working during the day when they're on here in Canada and Toronto. So I do have it on while I'm working. Actually, a funny story. I had the Denmark-England game on, and I was driving quite a distance that day for work. And when Humelin scored, I started going crazy because I was like, that was a nice goal. I just had it on while I was driving. I kind of caught it and I was just like, oh man, I was going nuts because he plays for Lecce, right? So it's kind of nice to see a Serie A product get a goal there. And obviously I know him from watching him closely when we play him. But yeah, there's a lot of good quality. A lot of good quality in those smaller sides, so to speak.
I'm going to say
what's your moment right now so far of the tournament?
The moment? I would have went Yıldız's goal if it stood, because that was crazy, man. Like
the goals in that game from Turkey were ridiculous. That volley smash for the first one was insane outside the area there, and then Arda Güler's goal was ridiculous. But that game, just in general, right now, is unreal. Easily standing out as the best. But I don't know. Like, I don't think has there really been that moment other than some of those goals. I don't really know. But the tournament as a whole, I've always said Euros is much more difficult to win than the World Cup. And that just makes it a much more enjoyable tournament, I think, for me, because of, the gaps in quality are just not there. There's no easy games in the Euros. It just it never feels that way. In the World Cup, you can get easy games. You don't get any easy ones in the Euros, man. You gotta earn every victory. That's why I don't like when people are discrediting certain wins and doubting certain teams because they've only beat such and such. No, the Euros is nasty. Euros is nasty. And so far in our ride or die challenge, we've got the total for points so far before today's results, of course. Anthony and Trim, their team of Netherlands, Turkey, Slovenia, 9 points so far. Luca's team, Portugal, Italia, Romania, 9 points. Lucci's team, England, the Swiss, Scotland, 9 points. We got all three of you, 9 points. Omer's team of Spain, Hungary, and Czechia. Check yourself, 6 points.
Ooh.
Lex.
We'll win it in the end.
France, Denmark, Albania, 7 points. Cappuccino, Croatia, Serbia, Poland, 3 points. Luiz, Belgium, Ukraine, and Georgia. Ukraine, the only team to get him some points at 3. And come on, guys. The AJC Mafia is legitimate here. Germans, Austria, Slovakia, 12 points for Alberto so far in the lead. And of course I'm going to win it all. Let's go. Team
Slim
Alberto.
lead. Easy.
Come on.
Rigged.
Come on.
Rigged.
Yeah.
Rigged. He got Argentina in the World Cup, and now he got
I tell you
Germany
what, man. Slovakia got robbed too, okay? Fuck it. All 3 of them. Let's go. Yeah. Anyways, we're having a lot of fun with that, and the banter's going to pick up as the tournament goes on there. But Cappuccino and Luiz, not looking good for them as of right now. Omer, all your chips are in the Spanish pot there, so we'll see what goes on there. But
I'm pretty confident, to be honest. Like, they might have been the most impressive team so far in the tournament.
For the Azzurri, because obviously we all support the Azzurri on the panel here and everything. We got to talk about the Azzurri. I think that Spain one was a bit of an eye-opener because it was the first real measuring stick. The thing is with Spalletti is he's only been around for a little bit, and I think it's just I think it's clear he doesn't really know. He doesn't really know yet his best, his alternatives, what he wants to do. Like, that one just looked, it seemed like he was very confused and definitely missed the mark on the game plan and what he thought he could do with that group of players. But moving forward, I've said I would go, it just doesn't make sense because he's got a team that's built, the majority of them play 3-5-2 setups. He prefers, and he has historically, this 3-4-2-1 setup. But it's a little bit awkward, and it left way too much space for Spain. Dial it into a 3-5-2 is what I say, okay? You've got the guys to do it. It could shift to like a 3-4-3 on the ball. I would go with Donnarumma, obviously, in goal. By the way, Donnarumma, I said this for all the Vicario shouts before the tournament. Donnarumma, when he puts the Azzurri shirt on, is an animal. And you just don't fuck with that. He's also the captain. It's just like, leave it alone. What a game. That could have been embarrassing if not for him. Donnarumma. Now, I would go Buongiorno in the heart with Bastoni on one side, Calafiori on the other. I would do that, okay? Darmian is a shout to get him on the right and Bastoni on the left. But I actually think, regardless of that own goal, which I do not blame Calafiori on at all, he was solid. He made critical interventions and plays there throughout that game. So I would still go that route. Cambiaso, Barella, Jorginho, Fagioli, and Di Marco all across the middle. Chiesa and Scamacca, with Chiesa with the freedom to go left or right based on where we're building up and where we're playing. That's what I would do, okay? And I think it makes the most sense. Having Barella in a two-man pivot gets none of the benefit of having Barella out there, period. So I think Spalletti's got a lot of work to do, but that's what I would do with the lineup. What do you guys think about it? How do you guys feel about the Azzurri, Trim?
Yeah, like to your point, it feels like they're very disjointed. You can see it's a team that it almost feels like they barely train together. And thus it reflects on Spalletti as well, kind of knowing what he's got within his team and who's best to utilize. Like with your formation in your lineup that you just kind of laid out for us, Al, like you almost forget, like Buongiorno's just been sitting on the bench, hasn't even gotten any game time. Like he's an animal back there. He could be a solid addition to that back line, but it's who do you take out, right? So seeing him not getting any minutes, and even, of course, you know, our boy Nicky Beans, like Fagioli should be in there as well. I really feel like he can contribute. So yeah, like in terms of the lineup and who to put out there, like that's a couple of guys that I would like to see in against Croatia and give them some time, game time, and see what happens. But to your point about the midfield specifically with Barella, like the guy is not a pivot midfielder. Like he's more offensive. He needs the ball. Like that's a role for Jorginho, and then whoever else you want to kind of put in that spot. But between him and Frattesi, like they got to be higher up the field, you know, advancing the ball and getting some attacking chances. Like I don't know.
And I'm gonna just go out and say this, but I could do with not seeing Cristante out there at all the rest of the tournament.
Oh, ever.
It's wild to me. It's wild to me that he thought that game was missing Cristante. What?
Fastest yellow card ever in a Euros. In a European
wow,
tournament.
not surprising.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, and that's after we broke the record for fastest goal conceded.
Fastest
in the
goal
match.
and fastest yellow.
Breaking records all around.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to me, the Cristante thing. But Omar, how do you feel about that 3-5-2 I laid out there? Do you agree with it? Would you stick with this 4-2-3-1 he wants to do?
No, I think three at the back is like the way to go. I think that's where our strength is. But look, I've said it before. I don't even think Italy before the tournament. I didn't even think Italy are making it out of the group. I just didn't expect Croatia to be this bad. But
yeah.
I mean, we can safely say Italy are not like candidates to win. Like some of the big teams would be happy to get Italy right now, but that's fine because we've always said this team and the ages of the players that are playing there right now are more, you know, just aiming for the World Cup rather than the Euros. We knew
yeah,
we'd
it's
have
more of a build for
transitional-
that, for sure.
Yeah, and Spain went through that in the past couple of tournaments. They had a generation shift and a lot of the guys were young, but now you're playing against Rodri, which is the best defensive midfielder in the world, hands down.
Yeah.
And Pedri. I mean, those are the two best midfielders in the world, like top 10. And he got completely outplayed. Spalletti got completely outplayed on every aspect of the pitch. I hated the way Scamacca played. He seemed like he didn't care, just walking around, trying the same thing he's doing for Atalanta. And I don't know, the energy from some of the guys, the way they were trying to play, the intensity, Italy looked cooked. They didn't look like
they were so
outplayed.
frantic on the ball, like so just panicked all the time. But a lot of it had to do with we were so compact, and that played to Spain. We couldn't spread them out. We didn't spread them out at all, and that's why like there was zero adjustments at half. you're taking out Jorginho in a game where you can't retain the ball to save your life. You bring in Cristante, you have Fagioli on the like. The whole thing was weird to me, and I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. But we can't get. We're not having our guys in their strengths. DiMarco in a 4-2-3-1 cannot get up enough to support the attack as much
Our
as
worst
we
player,
need
by
him
the
to.
way, so far, DiMarco.
He has been underwhelming. But a 4-2-3-1, I'm not surprised. Like, he's not the three center backs, and we have enough to get by with that, will provide the freedom. Utilize Cambiasso on one side to get the versatility as well as DiMarco. Balance yourself out left to right. Flood the midfield. Get Barella in a position where he could be the one moving forward to his strengths. And then on the opposite side, you will have a Fagioli also available to do such. And your forwards, then your forwards won't be on an island too. Because as much as I agree with you on Scamacca, the guy had nothing to do. He's not going to dribble 3 Spanish defenders while he's all alone up top collecting the ball.
No,
It was
of
brutal.
course it doesn't.
Our ball
I mean,
retention was pathetic. Chiesa touched the ball 19 times and lost it 11 times. Okay?
Jesus.
It's just... And people that were like, well, he's got to stay in there. I was like, he can't keep the ball. You have lost over 50% of your touches. Well, that doesn't matter because the touches are this. And Sev, yeah, I'm talking to you. Oh, the touches don't matter. Yeah, every touch matters. Of course, every touch matters. No Italy player was keeping the ball. They have a lot of work to do. And I'll say this, while Croatia has looked underwhelming, they have this ability that when shit's on the line, like if you think Monday's going to be, it is not going to be easy. That is going to be a dogfight. And we better be ready. And Spalletti better actually have this thing set up with something that makes sense. But for me, 3-5-2. This team is built for a 3-5-2. Stop fighting it and start going with it. And don't go back to your 3-4-2-1. Back in the days when you had a 10 like Totti, etc., to actually perform something like that, play to the strengths of who you have. Stop fucking around. We better get through.
And my main criticism for Spalletti right now would even be his substitutions. They were even awful in the Albania game. But, I mean, you're seeing Di Lorenzo get cooked on speed. Why is Villanova still on the bench?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah,
Why is Cristante the one coming in? Arteta doesn't play Jorginho twice a week because he can. And that stubbornness is awful.
His substitutes were brutal. And I think Spalletti is like, he's got to take some freaking flack there for sure. And I don't like that he's talked a lot. Like, I would have liked him to just own up a bit and be like, hey, man, because we can all see it. This is a coach that hasn't been with this Azzurri side long enough to really hammer or nail anything down. For God's sakes, the last 2 friendlies before we went into this tournament, we saw both setups. And it's like you're still trying shit out right before the tournament. We can all see it. It's okay to admit it. But like, take a little bit on yourself and put a little less on the guys because they were set up for failure in that Spain game. Like, that is not how you approach any Spain side. The most frustrating part about it is I feel that this Spain side is still beatable. Still a very beatable team. But we'll see what happens. Storm the barn. Swati, are Luiz, Thuram, Coop, and Calafiori all financially feasible for us? Yes, actually, they are. They are. Simply because Thuram is a very low cost if the rumors are true. And, Calafiori. I missed Calafiori at the end. Okay, that is maybe difficult. Luiz, Thuram, Coop? Yes. Calafiori is going to be extremely difficult. I don't know if that one gets done. But Luiz, Thuram, Coop? Yes. Calafiori depends on, we need to hit on the sales. We need to hit on the sales if that price tag doesn't drop. But the rumors are Giuntoli has this confidence they will get him for around the 30 million euro mark.
Yeah, it came from Albanese that Bologna are interested in Milik and Genoa are interested, and even Fiorentina are interested in Keane. So there is some more money and some more names that could be included in the deal. But still, we're in the middle of a tournament. Calafiore is at the tournament. And my guess is no player that plays right now for his national team is burdening himself with transfer rumors and meeting with agents. Everything will happen after the Euros.
To
Or
do
after
this,
Italy
though,
gets eliminated.
Sule and Hoyson both have to go, and they both have to go for the premium dollar. They both have to
Fine.
go for the premium dollar to get Calafiore into that mix with Thuram and Coop. Based on
Fine.
Coop's value and Calafiore's value, we would need both of them to go. So
What about Fede? Do you think Fede has to go in order to fund that too because of Calafiore's
Fede brings in some
cost?
capital depending on the
Yeah.
price tag, right? So
Yeah, I'm just thinking in terms of making it all work with Calafiore's price tag. But again, like, let's just say it this way. It's somewhere in the middle. It's not what Bologna is valuing him at 50, and it's not what we're hoping to get him at 30. So if it's somewhere in the middle, I still think it's possible.
Oh,
Is
it's
that fair to
possible,
say?
but
Yeah.
we have to
But
hit.
it
We
depends
have
on
to
the
hit on
sales.
the
Yeah.
sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any dates confirmed yet for Juventus friendlies during the summer preseason time? Nothing is confirmed as of yet. They obviously canceled North American tour, and they are actually going to stay close to home. But there is a move to Germany. There's a move to Germany at like Adidas headquarters to do some type of friendly there and everything, and some training sessions. So there's something going on there. That's all I've heard. I haven't heard anything else outside of that right now. What would be your starting lineup? Well, I gave you my starting lineup, right there, and you guys kind of agreed. I don't think there's any changes other than maybe you could change Scamacca, and like I said, maybe Darmian, but I would still go with Calafiore, Bastoni. And Bastoni was drifting to the right a lot there. He could still do it. It'll be fine. You're either a baller or you're not. Deal with it. Scamacca, though, do you maybe go Retegui up there against Croatia? A lot of shouts to get Scamacca out.
I don't know. Have we seen anything special from Scamacca in both games? He was
That's
just,
the thing. Yeah.
I don't know, just like a pillar standing
Well, he
in
almost
center.
scored several against Albania. He just wasn't putting in the back of the net, but he was getting into good spots and doing things. But Retegui, I'm fine if he goes in there. I just think it's more so everything else around it that has to be corrected. So, and I think Scamacca could also be a benefactor if we get the rest right. But you not getting the best, not maximizing your best midfielder in Barella is very strange to me. And not getting the best out of like DiMarco, those guys were always going to have to be big for attack and supporting the attack. And the fact that we're not doing anything to help them. Yeah. And Pellegrini, I thought he was okay, taking way too much flack, but like, I don't know. Like, he can rotate in there as a mid as being one attack, but then you got to shift to two pivots. But then you have a decision to make because you're going to have to pull one of those guys out of there. Fagioli and him can rotate out of that spot, but then again, the two-man pivot takes away somebody that can help support the attack. So I think you got to go with one back, and I'd let it be Jorginho and then move ahead with the other guys. So Pellegrini can just rotate in there with Fagioli and Barella whenever we make those changes. Same with Fratesi. It is what it is. It's a tough call, though. Tough call. Adam, is there anyone that we haven't talked about, realistic, non-realistic, that we should target this transfer window? Is there anybody you guys have been thinking about that you're kind of surprised maybe we haven't heard about?
No, I'm actually very pleased with the names linked to Juve. They all make sense. I don't have anyone that, like, how you're not going for this guy or that guy. The only one would probably try out for is Bellanova. But if we are going for Di Lorenzo, then fine. It is what it is. Maybe that's what we can afford. Torino wouldn't want 20 million. They would ask for more. And so, yeah, actually none. I'm pretty pleased with Juventus targets right now.
I agree. Trim? You on the same?
Yeah, pretty much the same because there's nobody I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, it'd probably lean more towards the unrealistic
Yeah.
as opposed to the realistic option, but I think everybody that we're kind of targeting, it coincides and fits with Motta's game plan and style, and
Yeah.
just keep trying to hammer away at the guys you want and then go from there.
Yeah.
But let me bounce off a question from that one. I
Mhm.
mean, are
First off,
we
hang
in?
on. Hold
Okay,
that
yeah,
thought, because I
okay.
did not notice this and I need to. But Shatterstar going through a really difficult time. Wanted to thank us for offering respite from trouble and helping him manage. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, longtime supporter Shatterstar there, and
Yeah.
I gotta say we always put it out there for our social platforms and whatnot. Reach out if you need to. The DMs are always open, even just to offer an ear, right? Just a set of ears to listen to and maybe vent and let things out. But I am wishing you the best, and hopefully the difficulty that you're going through doesn't last long, my friend. So for sure, though, please reach out if you need. And yeah, we're thinking about you. All right. So massive thank you there for all your support and everything. And
Yeah.
the super chat message, we appreciate it and everything, but not necessary. And we're thinking about you, man. So hopefully all the best. But please reach out if you need. Omer, your question.
So first of all, yeah, Shatterstar been a long time listener. So whatever you need, we're here to help.
Yeah.
And yeah, so my question would be, I think like you are moving away from wingers. I mean, if
Hmm.
Sule and Chiesa are out, we're kind of left without wingers. I'm trying to wrap my head around what Mota's plan is because there are no. We heard the name of Adiami come through like last week or maybe even this
30
week.
mil, yeah, minimum. But
Yeah.
there's like
Yeah,
Shigrova at 15. There's,
yeah, but the links are kind of yeah, they're interested, but it's not as advanced or looks like they're interested as much as they're interested in other targets right now. And what makes me question what is Mota planning? Are we scraping the wingers?
I
Well,
we're not scrapping wingers. I just think again, nothing's a certainty with Chiesa. But yeah, targets, things will pick up. There was Sancho in there too. There was Greenwood, obviously. There's still guys linked. Like, we're not scrapping winger. You can't scrap wingers in his setup. He needs wingers.
Found it interesting.
Yeah.
yeah, especially
There
if
are
he
no
wants to
strong ones.
pivot from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3, like we're gonna need some kind of wingers to be able to adapt to that style too, right? So yeah, it's I'm sure there's other options if he's getting rid of Sule and Chiesa or thinking
Yeah.
about it, but we'll see.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
going to be interesting to
interesting.
see. We'll see what goes on, but
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough. Is anyone concerned about our four? Well, there you go. For next season, do you think we have that type of striker that could score 20 plus goals in one season? So, and Mark, I know where you're going with this because I've seen you in the
Mm.
daily update videos, been really going at Vlahovic. And of course, the Euro performances so far. We should talk about Dusan Vlahovic. Um, I don't have this fear around Dusan Vlahovic. And to be honest, the Euros have not really changed anything from me with Dusan. I mean, the first thing I said when I saw Serbia's first lineup going into their first match of the tournament, I said, you make a decision with Mitrovic and Vlahovic, but trying to use Vlahovic below him as this type of playmaker is setting not only your team up for failure, but also Dusan Vlahovic for failure. That is not the case. And I get it. You're trying to get both of them out there, but him playing as a playmaker behind him, no. As a partnership, as two strikers, okay. As a playmaker, no. Vlahovic does not have the passing capability to succeed in that role. He's keeping the ball fine. He was, at least in the first game. I saw bits of the second, but it's not for him. So overall, with Vlahovic moving forward, I still do think he's going to be just fine. just fine for us. 20 plus goals. If he got 16 last season and we were a mess and had no real idea, style offensively whatsoever, I'm actually confident he could be bagging consistently in the 20 plus range for Serie A for sure. For sure. Like, I have no worries about him. Where do you guys stand on Vlahovic? Trim.
Well, I've always been a big believer and a big fan of Dusan. What I would say to Mark's point, because I know I left my thoughts in regards to his comment on the latest daily, and I just said, like, he's the least of our issues right now, considering all the other problems considering all the other things that we need to address. So I would just go into this season with him and then assess it after this season, especially seeing him under a new coach. That's the biggest thing for me, is we're going to see him in a completely different style of play under a different manager. But I think it's fair to reassess going into next summer, seeing if he stays this whole season. But like you said, we'll have more competitions this year. If he put up 16 goals in all comps this year, I feel pretty confident this upcoming season he'll be able to create and get more chances and bury some of those. Like, how many missed opportunities did he have this year that could have easily went in and just out of his own doing he missed, right? So he could have easily had 20 plus, because I can think of 3 or 4 off the top of my head to add to that 16. And I think in the one game against Napoli, he could have easily hit 20 just in that game, right? So I mean, give the guy some time, see what it's going to be like under a new system with more free-flowing, more offensive style. And then, like I said, assess it come next summer.
For sure. Omer.
Yeah, so I agree with everything Trim said. What I would like to see from Dusan is maybe just stop trying to be the guy. Lay back a bit, let the game evolve, and don't try to make, every time you have the ball at your feet, try to make a shot out of it. Because we see, even with Serbia, we've seen him a lot of time just get the ball around the area and trying to produce a shot that is not going to go through between 3 players, and he always tries to be the guy. And I want him to stop being that. Start being part of the system. Start taking your opportunities that you get, but don't try to overcreate opportunities all the time. But I do like Dusan. I do want him to stay. I do want him to succeed. I think he can be a great striker for Juve under Motta, but he needs to come down a bit in the way he approaches the game. That's the way I see it right now. But having said that, we've only seen him under Allegri, and I think he got a bit worse at some of the stuff that was going for him at Fiorentina in terms of ball possession, passing. So yeah, I would like to see him play more and more calm.
Dan saying, heard us link to the Austrian Wimmer. Any truth here? Thoughts? I have not heard that. I haven't heard that actually at all.
Me too. But I haven't heard his name pop up.
We'll have to keep tabs on that one before I can really share. But thoughts on him or whatnot? I mean, I can't even really speak to him too much to give thoughts. Can either of you?
Nope. Actually, no.
So we'll wait for that one.
Maybe the one that impressed me that I would like Juve to look out is the Turkey left back. I forgot his name, but he was quite an engine back there. I would be looking at him today. He was great. I hope he plays again.
Why can I not remember his name? Because I was like,
I forgot it.
I was thinking the same. I was like, Turkey's got some actual ballers though. For real, that game was so fun to watch.
Actually, most goals came from the Turkish league. Most goals scored so far came from the Turkish league. More than
there you go.
Mm-hmm. Now, who should be the priority out of Calafiori and koopmeiners? Omer.
Calafiori.
Calafiori.
Yeah.
Trim.
I gotta go Coop, believe it or not. He's just such a hell of a player and an attacking midfielder of his quality. I know we're gonna be adding Luiz and possibly a Thuram, but for me, it's always been the priority should be Coop. I think that if Calafiori's price tag continues to give us trouble, we could pivot in a direction where we can actually get somebody else, not first choice, and maybe not the same potential or upside, but I do think that we can get someone to replace Calafiori as opposed to getting a player of Coop's quality.
I'm going koopmeiners because you got more guys leaving the mid than you do at the back line, and we could get by still before moving on that one, but we need to boost the midfield like yesterday. And by yesterday, meaning like 5 years ago. So yeah, for me, it's still koopmeiners. But both essentially are massive priorities for sure. Adam said favorite type of pie. We've already done this one. Favorite type of pie, man.
Jesus.
No, we done pie. Yeah, we've done pie.
Yeah, we already did pie. I'm gonna do one.
Just to say the name, Kadioglu, the guy from Turkey. He plays for Fenerbahce. We're actually liking Kostic, so maybe we can strike something there. 24 years old. I mean, could be interesting. But there weren't any links. I was just impressed with it.
Now we got to machine gun some of these ones. Okay. What is the plan? What is plan B if we don't make it on koopmeiners and Calafiori? Honestly, if we don't hit Calafiori, I don't think we need to really react heavily. Like with the guys that are around, I think it shifts. And then I think you start maybe looking at how Gatti's going to integrate, but we still have Thiago Giallo around as well. People keep forgetting about Giallo. This guy suits Motta's game to a T. Okay? With those guys around, maybe then you don't use Huijsen and you sell Sule to get koopmeiners in. But if you can't lock in Calafiori, like, I don't really think there's a plan B that needs to happen. With koopmeiners, then I think you spread it out in the midfield. And then I think, like, Samardzic, bring me Samardzic on a cheap deal and everything, and you just spread it out, right? But I don't think like there's a set name specifically in the midfield that we need to do plan B. I think it's the same targets. You just pick different guys, right? But that's why for me, the gap from Coop, we're talking top 2 midfielders in Serie A, and then going to, a young, has to prove himself, has a lot of potential. That's why, like, for me, Coop is critical. Luiz, Coop, and Thuram would be ridiculous to bring into this midfield. But Calafiori, I don't think we have to act necessarily. That doesn't happen. Just my thoughts. Now, got a machine gun. Calafiori policy, but let it go, especially to us. Trim, is Morata coming back? Is he coming back?
That's my guy. It's my guy. That's why I put him there. Let's hope.
Oh, man. He might be coming back every day. You get the rumors. And like Morata in his interviews, vincere, l'unica cosa che conta. He's playing it up, and he's getting there with Buffon and all the photos and all the memories and whatnot. I still tell everybody the same thing. If you're looking at a guy at 12 million, who's coming in that provides you what Morata does? Again, if he's willing to take a significant pay cut to be there, and it has to be significant based on his salary. But if he's willing to do that, I'm sorry. Find me. Stop saying no and find me the 12 million euro replacement. I'll wait. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Find
we
me.
Just keep getting a bunch of no's, but there's no actual
I'm like,
this is the player. Like, I don't know, just that's all I've seen, just people saying no, but there's no alternative, basically.
So Morata is not a step up on even Milik, but Milik and Keane?
Between Milik and Keane,
Are we serious? We're trying to get rid of both those guys. And Morata is not better than those guys. Again, if it wasn't a return, I don't see how you could combat that. Who at 12 million euros are you getting to come in? Crickets.
I don't know.
Crickets.
Yeah.
No one. Absolutely no one.
Absolutely nobody on 12 million that can compare right now. Unless you're taking a shot on high potential player. But again, 12 million.
Memphis Depay. Memphis
12
Depay,
million?
maybe. No, he would be free, actually, Memphis Depay.
So Memphis.
But I don't want him.
You can make the shout for Memphis, but I don't know, man. Morata at 12 mil? What are we talking about? Higher number Chiesa goals or games missed injured? Probably injuries, I'd say. Unfortunately.
I'm gonna go goals. I have faith in him this year wherever he is, whether it's with us or somewhere
Well,
else. I
games
think it's
missed. Yeah,
goals.
games missed. You got to hit a lot of days. But next year we're in more competition, so I'd probably say games missed.
Yeah, it's still a good shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let's say this. This is my last one. We'll wrap up. Your perfect goal scenario. Is it international? Is it for club? Who's the opponent? What's the tournament? How do you score it? What do you guys have for your perfect goal set? And I don't mind going first if I have to. I'll go first.
Lead us
That's
off.
my-
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'll kick us off. Champions League. Okay, so I am going club over country. It's Champions League. I play for Juve, of course. We meet the Snakes in a final. It's Inter. Okay. And oh yeah, I step in to an I'm a sucker for long range goals. It's open play. It's not a free kick or anything. But I step into one and just crack this bastard. Crack this bastard. It's up. It's top bins, baby. Okay? Top bins. Right. Screaming across the net. Maybe a little bit of whip to it. Top corner. And I'm running right to the Juve supporters. Okay? And I'm jumping in. I'm not selling on the pitch or anything. Like, I am jumping in. It's a late winner. Okay? To win this thing and bring that big-eared bastard home. And I'm jumping right in with the crowd. Losing it. Tarps off. I'm like Matteo in there. Tarps off. Okay, with the Juve supporters, and I'm losing it. That's my ultimate. That's my ultimate goal scenario. It is club. It's Inter's Champions League final, and we bring that bastard home. Omer, what's yours?
Well, I'm a sucker for long shots too, but my favorite would be a volley after a cross that was headed out, and I'm just coming from the back and blasted, and it hits the woodwork, the upright, and bounces off the floor. Those are my favorite goals. Of course, it's against Inter, final match day of the season to win the Scudetto. And I'm taking the shirt off. I'm running a lap across the field in front of all the fans, and straight to the dressing room. I'm not even finishing the match. Finish it with 10 guys.
Oh, that's the best. Yes.
Straight into retirement.
Oh.
I'd probably go on
awesome.
mine there. Trim.
Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit different because obviously it's pretty easy for all of us to just pick against Inter. And being a Canadian-born person, it's definitely not going to be at a World Cup. So what I would say is it'll be Champions League final, free kick, just outside the box,
Ooh.
top bins, and then just my classic celly ever since I was a kid was obviously Del Piero, but I used to throw the shirt over the head, so it's like half on over the shirt and just like arms out, running around like a freaking lunatic, probably run towards the Juve supporters, but against Real Madrid.
Oh,
Champions League final.
Going for Real. Hey, all right.
Yeah.
Man,
They always seem to get there, man.
Doing a Ravanelli as a nice throwback to the 96 Champions League final there too would be a nice touch to it as well. Nice little touch there. I like it. Yeah. There's been a discussion going around with the Euros, obviously, and like what's more intense like for you as a fan is like following your club or following like your nation of choice, obviously through these tournaments and whatnot. And I'm like, well, man, I'm like, honestly, they're both like intense, and I get like, you know, as intense. It's hard though with the national to put it on the same because you don't see these guys all the time, and these major tournaments are once every 4 years, right? So every couple of years you'll get World Cup in a couple of years, unless you're like us. They're the Azzurri haven't qualified for the past couple, for God's sakes. But
yeah, seriously,
you know, it's a different intensity. Like, I share the same intensity for club as I do country, but it's just different. The intensity feels steady with Juve, but with the Azzurri, it might feel heightened just because you don't see them as often. But some say that's wise because I don't see them as often. I don't get as fired up for it. How do you guys feel like club versus country? Is there a different intensity for you there?
Hard to say. Because it used to be special, but I feel like we have an international tournament every summer now, which kind of takes the edge off it. But yeah, I'm first and foremost a Juve supporter, and Juve is the real joy for me. I've seen Italy win a Euro. I've seen Italy win a World Cup. Those were some of the best times in my life, in football in general. But still, Juve before everything. Yeah. The reason I'm an Italy fan is because I'm a Juve fan and not the other way around.
Yeah. See, Matteo coming in here saying, I've always been country over club. And I can't say that it's been like that for me personally. But Trim, where are you at on this kind of thing?
I'm pretty torn. I mean, for the most part, I would say that I've been more club over country. But then I think of, like Omer touched on, like 2006, that World Cup. Like, I'll never forget that time in my life. The 2021 Euro, that time in everybody's lives, COVID, just how it all went down. Like, for that specific tournament, it will always kind of hurt a little bit because of, COVID being what it was. And we didn't really go out and celebrate like the rest of the city did here. And it was absolutely wild. And it always is, like, compared to what I did when I was 16 and 06, going down to the famous street here, St. Clair, and just there were just people everywhere. Like, just it's hard because, like, I can see it both ways, but I tended to more side with, like, feeling more excitement, I guess you could say, and nerves for country. But when Juve goes the distance or goes pretty far in a Champions League, or even a Scudetto, we haven't seen that in a few years. So, but like, I can see it both ways. But I think for me, I'd go more country than club.
Really? Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it really just has to do with how you came into the fold and everything. But
yeah.
For me, the first love was not the Azzurri. The first love was Juve, and the Azzurri did not bring me to Juve. It was like, right. I was with Juve day one. And then the Azzurri, obviously, with the background, the heritage, the family and everything, that was just another part of it. But Juve always had strong ties to the Azzurri, and I always connected the two. The two were one for me, Juve and Azzurri. So for me, it's always been that way. And I can't say that I'm country over club because I'm really not. Like, Juve is right there with me, and they're on the level for me. The Azzurri did not bring me to Juve. Juve was first for me, and there was always that connection. So for me, it's one. But
look, the main thing is for me is that international football between countries has kind of died down. I mean, the level of managers that managing this team, it used to be the job, like, for any manager. And now, how many top class managers do you have coaching teams right now in the Euros? So it kind of died down. I think it died generally. And that's why I can't find, like, Italy was amazing. The Euro win, didn't expect that at all. But international tournaments kind of lost the hype for me in recent years, in the past 10 years. It used to be this huge thing when I was a kid, and now it's not the same.
Let's put it this way. When the Azzurri, this rough patch that, like, happened before the, like, Euros win, and then it's been another rough patch after it, like, immediately, like, it doesn't affect me the way Juve does. And that alone tells me how much the love that I have for is probably more towards the club. It's an everyday thing. I'm always there, and it's not that I don't support Italy or whatnot, but, like, when the struggles are there or whatnot, it's easier for me to let off because there's everyone tied into it. It's not just a Juve thing. It's an Inter thing. It's a Milan thing. It's a Serie A thing and whatnot. But when it's Juve, it's like I'm way more invested. And that tells me it right there. But
No,
the two
that's some
go
of our
hand in
best
hand.
memories. That's some of our best memories, right? As kids, the World
Yeah.
Cup, Italy in the World Cup, and there's a whole generation right now who have yet to see Italy in a World Cup, and I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah, it's
sorry
crazy.
for them because those are my favorite memories,
Yeah.
and I hope Italy get back on track. But man, that's assuming they'll make it to the 2026 World Cup.
Yeah, it's different. That's all.
Yeah.
It's a
Yep.
whole different thing, right? It's a whole different thing. But it's always cool to chat about, and of course, we're gonna keep track of the Euros, the Ride or Die Challenge. Hey, good luck to everybody in there right now. We'll see where some of the matches might have changed. I didn't even actually check the scores. We'll do so real quickly here. But Georgia and Czechia 1-1 right now in the 72nd minute. Coming up, we got Turkey and Portugal, which I actually think will be a good game, a fun game to
Yeah.
watch. And then
Turkey wins.
Belgium
Mark my
and
words.
Romania, all right? So Turkey and Portugal is going to pit Luca against Anth and Trim. All right. Better see some smack talk there. And then Belgium, Romania, that's Luiz against Luca. So Luca taking on a couple teams here. Let's see how he does. He's probably still in the fetal position, sucking his thumb in bed. Lazy SOB. All right. But you guys have been great today. And reminder that our thoughts are with you, Shatterstar, okay? And if you choose to reach out over social media, please do so, brother. We're all thinking about you. Guys, enjoyed the live today. Much more to come. And Juntoli, I don't even think he's getting started, all right? So keep it rolling. Thuram, bring me Thuram and bring me koopmeiners, all right? But let's rock it. You guys have been fantastic. Drop a like, as always. Thank you. Trim, Omer, always an absolute pleasure. I'll keep you in the loop on all the news, on the daily updates. Got some cool little fun videos coming out as well as some extra content. But if you guys want to see something in particular, just reach out and ask, all right? As always, no matter what, fino alla fine, forza Juventus, and, of course, with us, forza Azzurri. But enjoy the Euros. Take care, everybody. Ciao tutti.
Yeah.